Building a low-cost clear gazebo roof. This is today's goal. By the end of this short episode, you'll see me make this. I've already made a pergola and I'm showing you what's coming up in this episode. There's a couple of key elements. I've ordered some roofing polycarbonate sheet. It needs to be made waterproof, so you're going to see how I do this step by step. Let's begin. So I ordered the polycarbonate sheets online and ordered them directly, so I was able to get them. Let's have a quick recap at where we left off. I've already made it the wooden gazebo, and last time we got the structure up with the struts, and that was a modern DIY gazebo. So that's where we're going to pick up from now. So the sheets have come, which is the polycarbonate sheets. I had to make sure the frame was level, and I added on some extra beams to support the clear polycarbonate roof. So you'll see with this, it's going to be an option where you dry fit everything depending on the measurements of the material you're using. So I ordered the polycarbonate sheets directly, and they are going to be individually set onto these beams. There are some glazing bars. So how it works is you have metal glazing bars which sit on the wooden beams that I'm putting at the moment, and the polycarbonate slots into that, and there's like a little cap that you hammer on top, and those are in those long thin pouches, and these are the long polycarbonates on the right hand side. So each sheet here will be individually set on, and you'll see I'm putting this through as an easy option just to make it a lot easier for you. So what happens is you can actually individually set it out, and then that would work out because you can actually move each beam to the wood and polycarbonate to match. So I did a quick dry fit. I took the wood beams off, I cut them to size, and then I screwed and toe nailed them in on the top, which is basically two nails on opposite sides of the wood beam to keep it in place. I also used some brackets just to hold it in place while I was doing this, and that's why you saw me put the polycarbonate sheet on to get the right measurements for the first one, and then I took it away so I could get the beam in place, and then I was able to put the polycarbonate back on the roof. So there's a lot of benefits for the polycarbonate because they're better thermal efficiency, which means in cold days and hot days they do a little bit better job of keeping in the heat or keeping that heat out. They have a UV protection so you don't get sunburnt while you're sitting underneath your nice new gazebo. And remember, this is part of my small city house project where I'm doing out a small city house, and I've already done the patio, and now we're currently working on the gazebo roof because we're basically putting a roof on, a clear roof. There's a couple of key things that I used here. You don't have to use these exact brands. Whatever you find in your area online or your local builder's yard, there's two things here that I found I needed. I used an old brush to brush on this primer. So in the past I've done a little lean-to polycarbonate greenhouse and I didn't use primer. So what did happen was the flashing that you stick on the corner to stop the wall leaking water in the gap, the flashing kind of peeled away. So this time I used this primer seal. It's not really expensive, it's just an extra task to do. I went around and brushed like a 4-inch little strip all the way around where my polycarbonate will sit, and then the flashing will stick on the wall. So because this is a brick wall, it's not going to be as easy to stick to because there will be like a dust and stuff on the wall. So what this primer sealer does is it makes it key better, which basically means it sticks better and it makes it work better on uneven surfaces. So I went around and put that primer on first and I let it dry for a couple of hours, and then I came back and that's when I started working on putting the polycarbonate sheets in. You'll notice I've got the wood beams here in place, but they're actually free flowing. They're like just sitting on metal brackets, as it were, so they're not stuck down. The first beam I stuck down because I was able to measure out where the polycarbonate sheet will sit, and then I was able to make sure I had the ladders in the right position to be able to lift up a sheet, put it on top, and then think about putting the flash band around it. So there's the metal glazing bar I put up, and this is the actual flashing. This is basically like a sticker. You stick it on the edges to stop water when it rains really badly. When it goes on the wall and it drips down the wall, you don't want it going in through the gap of the wall and the polycarbonate sheet. So I use this section here to stick on the wall, and that means that it will then stop any rain, and it will come down the polycarbonate and then go into a gutter, which will be like a later episode under the finishing touches. So you can see the grey flashing there. I'm sticking that down on the side of the roof, and I will also be doing it towards the top as well. So if you have a lean-to building and it's only leaning on one wall, you'd only need this on one wall. However, mine's is like on a neighbour's wall and my wall, so I had to put like a double flashing on this side and the other side, which I'll show you in a second. It stick nicely to the primer that I use, which is basically black paint, and this is a higher top section, so when the water hits it, it goes down. The primer, I did get a little bit on the polycarbonate sheet, and the flashing has this black like sticky stuff in the back, which I got on the polycarbonate. So I used white spirit with a bit of a towel just to clean up the polycarbonates to make them a little bit less like from the bottom you don't want to see these black dots on there basically. So that's what I'm doing right here. Overall, I'm finding this like a easy task. It's just you need the time to do it and the basic skills about DIY. If you're a good builder and you know how this should be done, or you have alternative methods, do drop in the comments. It's always interesting to see how you think I could improve this. You'll see each sheet you put down, you then put the adjacent sheet down next to it, and then you put the glazing bar on, and then you start putting it in position and like fixing it to the buttons. So I'll show you that as it goes along, and I've taken off the clear protective film from the polycarbonate as well. So what I did here was I got the polycarbonate in place, and then I started hammering on the glazing bar which holds this sheet in place. So if you know what measurements your polycarbonate clear roofing sheets will be, this will be easier for you. So here I cut out individual wood to support the structure. So theoretically the big woods I've got there are 2x4, so they will hold the structure, but over time when it gets hot and cold the wood can twist and turn. So I've put some middle structures here just to hold the two beams together to keep them a bit more straight, and then I'm using these polycarbonate screws. So if it ever gets really windy and you have uplift in the polycarbonate, it's a risk, a chance for the polycarbonate to be ripped off the roof basically. So what I'm doing here is I'm using these screws. So they come as part of a kit. There's a screw, there's a little washer, and then there's a stainless steel screw and like a cap. You put them all in place. I'll show you a detailed view in that in a second. So what I did here was I made sure that the wooden beam underneath was screwed in place. Then I drilled a big hole, because in different types of weather the polycarbonate can expand. It is plastic, so it gets a little bit big and a little bit small, and what you do is you make a big hole and then this cap goes inside it, which then allows for a little bit of movement in the polycarbonate, so that gives you a little bit more longevity in the product itself, so it's like, you know, lasts a bit longer. So I was able to do that in place there, and then I put another sheet next to it which is solid. So we've got 3 sheets up already, and I'm envisioning about 6 sheets along here. I put the other sheet on, I dry fitted it and then took it out just to make sure it fits nicely. So with this, try not to rush and take your time. Put things down, see if they fit correctly, then take them away. You don't want to just put it down and then stick it in place and then find out 3 sheets down that you've had a little bit of an issue. So it's always good to do a dry fit, which I did here, and I've already cut the flashing ready to stick on top as well. You'll see here I'm putting the glazing bars and I'm moving the wooden beams, which are like the roof beams, just to make sure that I get a nice snug fit for the polycarbonate. You've got a couple of centimeters there where it sits on the glazing bar, and you've got a few millimeters to play with, so it's very precise kind of work. So it's always nice to keep an eye on this and make sure you're doing it in the way that helps keep the polycarbonate functioning well for a long period of time. You'll see I'm putting another bar down here. I kind of jiggled them around just to give me a mid support in the polycarbonate. You can check like the website, they normally give you like a full guideline of how much space they can do. These polycarbonates are a bit thicker than your usual budget ones, so I bought the thicker version which has a multi-layer, so it's like 3 or 4 cores inside the polycarbonate, which basically means it's like a sandwich. There's plastic, corrugation, then plastic, corrugation, then plastic, and then the roof and the lower. So it gives you like a more solid, longer lasting polycarbonate. It comes in a number of different colors. I got the clear because I wanted lots of light to come in. I may use this as a greenhouse, I haven't decided yet. And then I used the old towel to hammer on the old glazing bar. That's what I'm doing here, and that glazing bar keeps it in position. And then I put in the flashing on the top. So it's all very progressive, and each one you're repeating the same tasks. So if you get the progress going, you'll see I'm basically like vacuuming out any bits that I've drilled in the polycarbonate, and then I put the screws in, put the washer in, screw it in place, put the cap on, just to give it some extra support on windy days. I don't want them being ripped off the roof. And there you go. It's nice and easy, nice and simple, and you let me show you one here full. So I drill a hole, and that's a bigger hole than you need. I vacuum out all the little bits that I drilled, and then I'll put a little drill hole for my screw, because the screw is a stainless steel screw. So if I put a pilot hole, the screw goes in a little bit easier basically. So I'm just going to get another screw here for you, and these are stainless steel screws, which means they won't rust. They go through the washer, they go through that little bung, and then you put that in place like this, and just get rid of any debris there. So I'll vacuum that out basically, get rid of all the plastics, because from the bottom you will see some of this if you leave it there. So then I'll put the screw on top, screw it, and then you just hammer on the little cap on top, which stops the water coming in. So it's a nice easy overall process, and it works repetitively. You can also work through and check if you need to cut any of the polycarbonate sheets, which is the last bit here that I needed to make a little notch in, and then made it ready. I went around and touched up a few little spots where I wanted the white to be more white, and it's a modern pergola, which was originally what I made. I then decided I wanted to put a clear roof on it, which is what you can see here, and I've got one last sheet to go in here, and this would all be a nice structure. I think it turned out quite well. Let me know what you think in the comments. I've got a few more episodes where I'm going to be actually pimping this out a little bit further. Let me know what your thoughts are on this. Have you thought about greenhouses? Have you thought about polycarbonate sheets? Would you get this? Is like a good option. You get an extra space outside your house to use, so it is a good option. You'll see I put some noggins into those rafters, and then I decided to extend it. I didn't think that was big enough, so what I did was there's a little bit more space here. I put a couple of more framing up similar to what I did before, and I put another unit here. So I'm thinking I might make it a little bit larger than what I originally thought, because I can use one as a seating area and one as a greenhouse, and it'll work a lot nicer. So this is kind of giving you an idea of putting a roof onto your building and making it more sound. What I will be doing is working an idea out, because now I've got an open space which is a pergola with a clear roof polycarbonate. So let's have a quick look at where we've got up to today, and a recap of what we've done. So I basically put a clear roof on with a polycarbonate sheet. I've put some framing underneath to support the structure. I've screwed it in place. We created a waterproof seal all the way around the frame to stop water coming through the sides, which was used by the primer on the wall and flashing. So what we're going to be doing now here is making sure that we can finish this off, do the remainder here, and I also have a trick up my sleeve. So next episode you want to be keeping an eye on this, because I will actually get some double glazed windows which I managed to sort out, and I'll put them on one side just to make this more of like a conservatory greenhouse, so we don't have cold air breezing through. You'll see a quick version of what's going to be happening in the next episode, so stay tuned. If you're not already subscribe so you get notifications as I progress through this little project that I'm doing. I'll see you on the next episode, which is on screen right now.